Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of our podcast. Today we have the following story: quitting a stable job to follow a dream. Are you ready? Let's go. I never thought I would be the kind of person to walk away from something safe, stable, and secure, especially after working for nearly 10 years at the same company, where I had climbed the ranks, earned respect, and established a routine that most people would envy, with a steady paycheck, paid vacations, health benefits, and a comfortable office with a window view. But deep inside, behind the professional smile and the well-ironed shirts, I was growing restless, and the dreams I had once pushed aside for the sake of responsibility began to resurface, louder and more persistent with each passing day, reminding me that time was slipping by and that I hadn't yet given myself the chance to try the one thing I'd always wanted to do: write stories full-time, not just for fun on weekends or in stolen hours before bed, but as my main pursuit, my real job, my life's work. And the idea both terrified and thrilled me because I knew the risks were huge, especially in a world where creative careers didn't guarantee financial security, and where people were often quick to question the practicality of chasing a passion. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that staying where I was out of fear wasn't really safe either, because it meant spending the best years of my life doing something that no longer sparked joy or meaning. And so, after months of quiet reflection, journaling, talking to close friends, and weighing every possible consequence, I finally made the decision, one rainy afternoon in October, to hand in my resignation letter, my hands shaking as I typed and printed it, my heart pounding with a mix of guilt, sadness, and strange relief. And when I sat across from my boss to tell him I was leaving, I expected resistance or disappointment, but instead, he nodded slowly and said he admired the courage it took to walk away. And that conversation gave me the boost I needed to believe that maybe, just maybe, I wasn't crazy after all. So I spent my final weeks at the company tying up loose ends, training my replacement, and saying goodbye to colleagues who were surprised but supportive. And then, just like that, I was free, waking up on a Monday morning without a boss, a commute, or a schedule, sitting at my kitchen table with a notebook and a blank page. And for the first time in years, I felt both weightless and completely unanchored, unsure where to begin, afraid of wasting time, but also deeply aware that I had done something irreversible, something that required me to show up now, not just for a company or a manager, but for myself and the dream I had chosen to prioritize. And the first few weeks were harder than I had imagined, not because I missed my old job, but because building a new life from scratch required more discipline, patience, and resilience than I had anticipated. And there were moments when I doubted everything. When rejections came in from publishers, when I questioned my talent, when I checked my bank account and felt a wave of panic rise in my chest. But there were also moments of clarity and flow, when the words came easily, when I finished my first short story collection, when a small magazine published one of my pieces, when I received an email from a stranger who said my writing had moved them. And those moments reminded me why I had taken the leap, why the fear was worth it, why discomfort was not a sign to retreat but an invitation to grow. And slowly, as I continued to write, to improve, to connect with other creatives, to build a modest audience, I began to feel more grounded in this new identity, no longer just someone who had left a job, but someone who was building something of their own. And I learned to live with uncertainty, to accept the ups and downs, to appreciate the small wins and learn from the setbacks. And in that process, I discovered a version of myself that I had never met before: braver, more curious, less afraid of failure, and more in tune with what really matters to me. And although there were days when I still missed the comfort of a predictable salary or the camaraderie of an office, I never once regretted my choice, because even the hard days now felt more honest, more connected to who I am and who I want to become. And I came to understand that following a dream is not a one-time decision but a daily practice, a commitment to keep going even when it's tough, to keep believing in your vision even when others can't see it yet. And now, a couple of years later, I look back at that version of me sitting nervously in front of my boss, scared to leave the known world behind, and I feel nothing but compassion and gratitude, because that moment of courage, though quiet and uncertain, was the turning point that gave me the life I have now, a life filled with creativity, freedom, and the knowledge that I am, every day, choosing to live with intention, not just routine. And if someone were to ask me whether the risk was worth it, I would say yes, without hesitation. Not because everything worked out perfectly, but because I found something far more valuable than security. I found meaning, purpose, and the unshakable belief that even when the path is unclear, it is still worth walking if it leads you closer to your truth, and that, for me, has made all the difference. So we come to the end of our podcast today. Thank you very much for completing the episode, and we'll see you in the next one. See you soon.